You won't catch us sleeping through the fight at night. We're all eyes open.
Thank you for listening to the Awakened Radio Network at awakenedradio.net, where we invite you to join us for the Prosperity Game. You can win prizes. You can also discover the easy, quick, surefire ways to allow prosperity into your life experience. The Prosperity Games are ongoing on the Awakened Radio Network. Check out our front page, awakenedradio.net, for details on the Prosperity Game. You can win prizes by calling in, by being in our chat room. You can even win by leaving comments in our forum. We've got all manner of ways for you to join us to play the Prosperity Game, where we all win and live beautiful, wonderful, on-purpose lives. Join us for the Prosperity Games at awakenedradio.net.
Welcome to Simply Conversations. This show airs every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific. Each week we'll have a new conversation exploring the life of a person who began to listen to his or her heart. Join us as we open the door for these uplifting and courageous people. Whether they are young, old, or somewhere in between, their work has helped to transform their lives, and it ultimately helps to support, heal, and grow their communities. Listen to our discussion and be inspired as you hear about life-changing and transforming stories. Be part of our conversation. Feel free to take part in our chat room or on the phone. Ask questions and chat with our guests. This show is brought to you by simplyconversations.com. Hello everyone, this is Ragozzine. Thanks for joining us. It's September 8th, 2013. This show is all about listening to our guests talk about how they began to utilize their own guidance, whether it came from their hearts or life conversations. We'll see how they began to truly transform their lives by listening to their heart. What has your heart been asking for? Which conversations have inspired you to make important changes in your life? Please join us in the chat room at awakenedradio.net by clicking on the live chat tab there, or at Awakened Radio to Skype, or dial 334-649-7204 to join us in the conversation. And in the second half hour, you'll be able to ask questions to our guest tonight, who is Beth Terrence. Come gather with us as we talk with Beth, and she got involved with meditation and yoga and other healing tools starting at a young age. Today she offers various healing modalities, workshops, and seminars and shamanic work. She says, my intention is really to support others in discovering the healer within through an integrative approach to transformation and healing. This often begins by having experiences or support in accessing our inner wisdom and learning our own inner language, which is different for each person. And if you're interested by tonight's talk, you can contact me on Facebook or Twitter or participate on the call. And we'd love to hear how you've healed and changed yourself and your community. And again, second half hour, we'll open to listener comments and questions. So with that, I'm not sure if Beth has joined us or not yet tonight. I don't see her in Skype. And I guess she'll be along in a few moments. I had just seen her on Facebook and Twitter, but she's not here yet. So ultimately, we can talk more about her as we introduce her. She's basically involved in meditation, spirituality, holistic living, energy awareness, art, writing, creativity, and overall wellness, with a focus on her shamanic work and energy work, and looking at how you can step into healing for yourself as you learn more about these techniques, such as Reiki or different types of energy work through the shamanic practices. And I haven't talked with her in depth, but I do know she does quite a bit of shamanic work, so perhaps by reclaiming your power animal or things of that nature, you can begin to step into healing your life and your issues. Now, I think we can use a short break while I go and see where she might be. So I think that's the next step we'll do as we're waiting for Beth tonight.
Whether I'm on the go or just at home laying low, I listen to awakenedradio.net. This is Ingrid Geronimo telling you should tune in too.
Well, this is cool. Wish we could get him to do a little promo. And speaking of you, Bryce, and also Don Mose to say, this is Don Mose from Happy Days, and you're listening to Awakened Radio.
Sure. Hi, this is Don Most from Happy Days, and you're listening to Awakened Radio.
Oh, that is totally cool. Thank you, Bo Bear. That's just for you. And Bryce, we've got to get you to say this is Bryce Zabel, author of AD After Disclosure, and you're listening to Awakened Radio.
This is Bryce Zabel, author of, excuse me, I'm going to try that over. I didn't even like that. I'm such a producer, I can't even say it. Like, my friend Don is an actor. He can say these things right off. I'm just the man behind the scenes. So I'll try it one more time. This is Bryce Zabel, the co-author of AD After Disclosure, and you're listening to Awakened Radio.
Thank you very much. Good idea, Bo Bear. Thank you. We got people in the chat room going, this is the guy from Happy Days. This is the guy. You know, people know you. So this is totally cool. I don't normally squeal over stars and such like that, but this is really a very, very, very nice extra, Don. Thank you very much, and thank you too, Bryce. We're not through yet. We got about 19 minutes, but I just want to let both of you guys know I really do appreciate this. You guys are exemplifying what we started Awaken Radio for, and that is for all of us to come together and say, okay, this is what I know. If you can add more to it, I'm willing to listen, and perhaps all of us joining our information together, we can come up with some of the answers to the questions of what if, just what if. And I think writing and movie work, you know, are some of the greatest examples of how. And now, back to the show.
Okay, we're back, and we're just having some minor technical issues, but Beth will be along shortly. And for now, I'll continue to introduce her. Again, she's got a detailed background. From age 14, she was interested in spirit and healing and connecting inward. And hang on a second, we got some more technical issues. Can't call from Facebook. So if you're trying to connect with us on the show, you definitely cannot connect from Facebook. To know in the future if you're a future guest. Anyway, and
Rob, see, if she's trying to use the Facebook app,
I'm in Facebook talking with her. Here's her.
Okay. Let me see if I can add her to that, or just have her call you. I don't know how that'll work though. Let me see. Just talk. Let me see if I can get her added to it. It may be a round, but let me see. Because you're live.
Okay, I'm live. Well, since I'm live, I'll continue talking about her approach. It's all about integrative healing, which involves various modalities, and since her work centers on the shamanic aspect of things. It's really going internal for yourself and then connecting to
Hello.
Hello. This is
Hi,
Beth.
Rob. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you this evening?
Good.
Sorry
I
about the
tried
connection
to call.
issues.
Yeah. I don't know, it just wasn't working for some reason, so I'm glad we connected.
Okay. Well, it's good to have you on the air. How are you tonight?
I'm great. Yeah, doing well.
We're just trying to talk about some of your shamanic work and connecting inward and looking at how illness often leads us to these types of explorations for ourselves. And I didn't get into how in your 20s, I guess, you needed to heal some of your own illness. And I have a quote from you that says, "I learned that we all have the ability to heal ourselves, and it is through the journey of finding that inner healer or wisdom that we come to know ourselves and fulfill our soul purpose. It became my mission to support others in learning and living a heart-centered, balanced, and joyful life through discovering the healer within." So, can you step into that and start to talk about some of the modalities that you started to try when you were younger?
Sure, yeah. When I was 20, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and that was when it was kind of a newer diagnosis, and although they know some more about it now, it's still not a clear-cut type of condition. And so I found that there were a number of solutions from Western medicine, and they didn't really work for me. And so I kind of began my journey of looking for alternative methods. And so I really started initially with diet and nutrition, and looked at a lot of supplements, and then I got into body work and energy work. And it was really over a period of about 8 years, I would say, where I was kind of on this journey of really learning about myself and trying all different, modalities and techniques to kind of see what helped me. And I'd already been a meditator. I started meditating as a teenager, so that really helped to have that foundation. And I had been doing yoga too, so I found that helpful. But as I kind of moved through that journey, what I learned was that it's really important to know ourselves and to know that, we have different needs at different times, and then also that really taking a holistic approach, really looking at body, mind, emotion, and spirit, each of those parts of ourselves, and then sort of the integration of that is really important. So I was sort of on a evolution, and I moved through body and mind, and then into emotions, and the spiritual part was always there, but it really deepened as I kind of came to the shamanic path eventually. So, and that's sort of my approach in working with others, is to really bring that integrative, holistic approach. So I do have a pretty big toolbox. I've been in the field of holistic healing for about 17 years, and shamanic healing's kind of at the heart of the work, but I do bring different modalities that help the different levels. I do some body work and energy work, and one of the main modalities I work with is called zero balancing, which is kind of a bridge between the body and energy. And I work with the Bach flower remedies, which really address the emotional body, and then integrate other tools like meditation and self-care, and talk about nutrition and, all different aspects of a person. The shamanic work's kind of, the core of, of the work that I do with people.
Now, have you had any mentors that gave you advice or helped you along through your own healing work?
Yeah, I've been really blessed in that way, to have found some different teachers along the way. And when I first I've moved to Maryland it's been about 12 years now. I'm from New York originally, and I've been down in this Maryland, D.C. area for about 12 years. And when I first moved here, I actually found a teacher who I studied with. His name was Bill Hennigan, and he was just a master energy healer, and I really, at that point in time, I'd been doing Reiki for quite a while, and different kinds of body work and energy work, but he really helped me to kind of take that to another level, and just really deepen in my awareness of energy and working with that. And then and he helped me through a really difficult time in my life. Actually, I went through kind of a big period of loss and grief for a few years after I moved down here. And he actually passed away at the end of that time, which was really hard because he had helped me through it. And it was about 2 weeks later that I met another mentor, just blessed, because I really was at a point where I felt like I couldn't really bear anymore at that time. And so Ross Bishop, who is the shaman who I've apprenticed with for a number of years now, and I guess it's going on about 8 years now that I've worked with him, and he's my main shamanic teacher, although I've studied with some others. He wrote a wonderful book called Healing the Shadow, which is really an amazing guidebook for life on Earth, and really goes into how shamanic healing can really support us in living in the world we live in today, and in our own journey of healing and evolution.
Now, you had mentioned the healing your own grief. What would you recommend for others who are experiencing the same thing or similar issues around grief to begin to address that grief, to begin to heal it, especially someone who's never come to a practitioner like yourself?
Yeah, I guess grief, it's interesting. Grief is really something that, especially in our culture, is, we're not it's not really honored, in a lot of other cultures. There's a little more spaciousness, probably for maybe emotions in general, but grief, there's sort of more space for people to grieve, and maybe grieve in community and grieve, for different lengths of time. And here we sort of have and especially in the United States, the attitude to kind of get back on the bandwagon, get back to work, and not really take that time. And so that's really important, to just take some time, and we may need to get back to our daily life in some way, but still to have the space for allowing ourselves to have our feelings, and to just know that it really takes as long as it takes. Each person's different, and oftentimes when we do have a loss that happens, it really opens up sort of that great pool of loss, for different losses that we're carrying throughout our lifetime. So it's really grief. I find when we do sort of enter into that space, it's really a big opportunity for healing on a lot of different levels. So just kind of allowing that and taking the time and being gentle and loving with ourselves is really important. And then getting support is important, and whether that's with a counselor or friend or family, or finding a modality that can help you. Sometimes like this zero balancing work I mentioned is kind of body energy work. And a lot of different kinds of body work can help heal or release emotions or traumas that we've stored in the body. And so sometimes something like that can help in that process, or help us to kind of integrate the things we've experienced and bring us more into the present. So it's, again, each person's journey is different, but taking that time and exploring and finding the tools and support that help us where we are and where we want to be is really important.
That really brings up the whole concept of forgiveness for me.
Mm-hmm.
So being willing to forgive the past, being willing to forgive whoever might have wounded you or the situation. What do you think about?
Yeah, I guess, we hold on to a lot of things for sure. And, I think, I don't know why, what sort of just popping into my head right now is that, we really don't always know the big picture, and I think a lot about our journey in this life and maybe our journey in other lifetimes. And, we've all had different roles and relationships, so it's really hard, to know, that, maybe something that we feel was done to us in this lifetime might have been something we did in another lifetime. So kind of stepping into that big picture can be a way to sometimes let go of some of those wounds. And the shamanic work is, that's a big part of it too, is really helping to heal those wounds and kind of bridge our connection to those deeper parts of ourselves and to really connecting to the universe or source energy as a whole. So and that healing sometimes then just comes in a very natural or organic way.
Now, with the shamanic work, do you do any kind of work with perhaps like the Eastern cultures? They have space in their homes for reverence of the ancestors. So they're not gone. They still can talk to them. Mm-hmm. So they might it might be as simple as a picture in a corner, but usually there's some sort of small altar, and they might leave rice there or something of that nature to honor them, and they could talk to them and ask them for help on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I would say definitely, yeah. And I, sometimes really honoring our ancestors is important. And again, as you mentioned about, our wounds, sometimes we're carrying some pain or wounds from the past, and it's important to heal that. And also we're carrying a lot of, wisdom, and who we are is really from our ancestors as well. So honoring that is important. And oftentimes, too, some of the patterns and beliefs that we're carrying and even emotions are something that have been carried through our ancestral lineage. So it's not uncommon for a person to really sort of be called upon to do some healing for their ancestral lineage, and that's something that is a part of the shamanic work that comes up. And it's helping to heal ourselves and helping to heal our ancestry, and then obviously transforming different patterns and beliefs. We're really helping, the collective to transform as well.
Now, for some people this is new, so I'd like to go back to, for someone like that who's just starting their own healing journey, obviously be open to and be curious is very important, but how do you maintain the work that you're going to do on yourself? How do you keep going? How do you believe, get enough belief to continue on the path?
Yeah, that's a good question. Each of our journeys are different. And so, finding a teacher sometimes can be really helpful with that, or someone, a like-minded person even, to talk to. I think a lot of times we start to have experiences and more awareness and don't really have a container, to talk about that or to be more open about it, and I think that's really important. And then, really, again, though, it's our own journey, and so cultivating our own tools or structure for connecting both with ourselves and with source, or however we connect with that in nature, is important. So whether it's meditation or prayer, or a certain practice can be really helpful in just kind of continuing that journey. And just to be, I think, really being open, open and curious, and because life is a journey, and we all have, our individual paths, and we're all connected as well. And so it's just important to just be open to what comes. We usually get led to where we need to be if we're open to it and willing to explore.
Now, if someone comes to you for the first time, what will you talk about? How will you start to work with them?
Well, I have a framework that I work with most clients, and I do, as I mentioned, I at this point, have a very integrative approach, and I find that, again, each person's different, and based on what they're coming with, whether it's a certain issue they want to work on or a certain transition they're in, there's kind of a couple aspects. But one of the things I often begin with is we do some meditation, and people share with me a little bit of an intake so they kind of bring what it is they want to work on kind of from a conscious way, and then I like to go into a meditation and then have them invite in an intention that comes more from an inner place and from the heart center. And sometimes that's a little bit more of an energetic intention than a specific life kind of change. So I feel like it's important to work on inner and outer, and so we begin there. And I often start with the Bach flower remedies because, and maybe I'll share just a little bit about what those are because everybody might not know about that. Bach flower remedies are flower essences that were created by a British doctor, Dr. Edward Bach, in the 1920s and 30s. And he was a medical doctor, and he did a lot of research early on, and then he went into private practice. And what he noticed in working with his patients was that it seems like their personality traits and their their emotional states were a very strong factor in disease. And he also was very in tune with nature. So it was interesting because he was very scientific, and then he also was very intuitive, and he was able to correlate the different energies of different flowers with different emotions. So over the years, he built this repertoire of 38 different remedies which address all different emotional states and personality traits. And he, at the end of his life, only treated with this system. He saw it as a complete system. So, and what he really thought about those sort of states or traits that we all exhibit and that are varied is that it's a signal to us that in some way we're out of harmony with our own selves and with the greater whole. And so healing is really about coming back into a place of balance and harmony. So the Bach flowers are a tool that can support that, but they're also, they create a really beautiful framework for kind of taking a look at ourselves and, start with, in a lot of holistic healing we talk about kind of being like an onion, and that the onion has a lot of layers, and so do we. And so some modalities, such as the shamanic healing, we go a little more to the core of the onion. And the Bach flowers, we start with that outer layer. So that's what's at the surface for you on a daily basis. What are the emotions you're experiencing? What patterns are you experiencing? And so when we begin there, it really helps me to kind of get a sense of what a person's experiencing, and it's a self-reflective process, so they can then begin to identify some patterns and issues and emotions that they are sort of experiencing in their lives, and then we can begin to create a framework for creating change from there. So that kind of leads us into some of the other work and what modalities we might work with next.
Now, how do you know? I've never worked with the Bach flower remedies. I'm just wondering, how do you know which one to pick?
Yeah, there's 38 remedies. And they say, I guess based on that, there can be like 1 million possible combinations, so they can cover everybody. And so it's a consultation process. So I work collaboratively with my clients, and we have a conversation and talk about things they're experiencing. And as I said, I'd often ask, are there certain emotions you're experiencing on a daily basis? And then I'd ask them specific questions, and also what type of change do you want to create in your life? And then based on things they share, I kind of get a sense, and as we're talking, I write down the possible remedies, and then we kind of go back and check over them. So we really just decide together what remedies would be best for them. And really, Dr. Bach designed this system as a self-healing system so that people could learn to treat themselves and their families. But it's often helpful to work with a practitioner for a little while to kind of learn the remedies and how they work. So, and then usually at any time, there'd be about 5 to 7 remedies that would be beneficial for a person. So we'd make a customized blend that would help support them. And so that really helps them in some things they're really beneficial for is if you're in transition or wanting to create certain change, they really help support that. They help, part of the reason they do that is because they're helping to balance the emotions and, as I said, settle what's at the surface. And then the other thing, because they're working vibrationally, they really help to strengthen and stabilize the energy field overall. And so when we're in a transition or wanting to create change, having that more stable energy field allows us to be more centered in ourselves and have more clarity and focus, in terms of the direction we're going in.
Now, we have about 4.5 minutes until break, so now is an excellent time to share some of your links with us to your website, to your blog.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I would love to. My website is just my name. It's Beth Terrence, and that's TERRENCE.com. And then I do have a blog, which you can access through the website as well, but it's called The Heart of Awakening, Searching for a New Paradigm, and I do share a lot of resources on there, holistic and transformational resources, and that is theheartofawakening.wordpress.com.
And can people find you on Twitter or Facebook?
Oh, yes, definitely on both Twitter and Facebook, and you can find those links from my website as well.
And do you respond to people? Do you have any idea of what people are looking for in general on those links?
How do you mean? I'm sorry.
I mean, can people ask you questions?
Oh, sure, yeah. I'm definitely very active on both Twitter and Facebook, and I love, having conversations, so for sure.
And can people take part in any upcoming events online or in person?
Yeah, I do have some events happening in the Annapolis area this month, in Maryland. Actually, I'll be doing a workshop called Becoming Peace, a body, mind, spirit exploration, and that's on the 21st in Annapolis. That's a Saturday. And then I'll also be speaking at the On Purpose Women Conference, which is in Columbia, Maryland, on the 29th. That's a Sunday, and I'll be speaking on one of my favorite topics. It's transforming your inner critic into your inner cheerleader. And then for people in different areas, I also have, I do one teleclass a month usually, and this month actually is about the Bach flower as a tool for transformation, and that's on Monday, September 23rd. It's at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. And if you go to my website on the events page, there's information on all of those events.
Now, there's a class size limit on those?
Some of the
online ones, I mean.
Oh, the online one, there's plenty of room, yeah.
Because I think I tried to sign up for the class last week, but I never was able to get in. So I'm just asking to make sure that if people are interested, they can sign up quickly.
Oh, yeah. I think there's sometimes a cutoff in terms of when you can register to the day before, but otherwise, there's space for that. And then there is a link on my website for that to register, or if they have any problems, they can email me.
Okay. And have you had any books published?
I actually, I have not had, I am working on a couple books right now. And a big project I'm working on is an audiobook and workbook on mastering anxiety and stress. It's a holistic approach, and it's based on a series of classes that I've been giving over a number of years. But I do have a project that I work with called Heal My Voice, and this is an international project that supports women in healing through writing and telling their stories. And I'm actually a facilitator for that project, but I have had one story published in a book called Inspired Voices, True Stories of Visionary Women, and it's actually, the title of my story is called Lost and Found, The Birth of a Shaman. And it talks about how my childhood experience of growing up with a mentally ill parent kind of led me, kind of opened the door for me to find the shamanic path. And I'm working on another story right now, actually, for a book called Voices of Peace, which will be coming out later this year.
Okay, thanks. And stay tuned for the next half hour where you'll be able to call in and ask questions for Beth. Again, the number is 334-649-7204 when we get back.
We are awakened. Come and join us.
Awakened Radio, your listener-supported online global radio station, where we all come together to share the love and the energy of change that we know ourselves to be. Thank you so much for clicking on our love, gift, and donate buttons throughout the website. Your support is very appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing and making real your love and your appreciation for what all the hosts at Awakened Radio are doing. This is Donna Devane, station owner, saying we really appreciate your help.
Welcome to Simply Conversations. This show airs every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific. Each week we'll have a new conversation exploring the life of a person who began to listen to his or her heart. Join us as we open the door for these uplifting and courageous people. Whether they are young, old, or somewhere in between, their work has helped to transform their lives, and it ultimately helps to support, heal, and grow their communities. Listen to our discussion and be inspired as you hear about life-changing and transforming stories. Be part of our conversation. Feel free to take part in our chat room or on the phone. Ask questions and chat with our guests. This show is brought to you by simplyconversations.com. And we're back, and if you'd like to ask a question to Beth Terrence, you can dial 334-649-7204 or add Awakened Radio to Skype, or come to us at awakenedradio.net and come into the chat room by clicking on the live chat tab and typing your question there. And one question I had for you, Beth, was as you were talking about meditation and prayer and chanting, maybe not chanting, that's what I was thinking, but about creativity. And does the work that you do with people lead to them being more creative, and does the creativity facilitate the healing?
Oh, I would say yes, and yes. And I think there's a very strong, connection to healing and creativity, and you could probably start either way, and have it be impacted. And what I find, and sometimes there's sort of a synergy. With the shamanic healing work, sometimes I do a guided journey process where I guide a person in a journey that helps them maybe find a power animal or connect with a inner child part of themselves or a spirit guide. And oftentimes we'll do an art process afterwards where they do a drawing or a mandala to kind of help, because sometimes it's easier or just sort of more fluid to allow the imagery to come forth rather than words. And then also what I found when we do journey work often has people receive some guidance in terms of sort of a path for them to take in terms of creativity that kind of emerges. And there's something actually just, there's a lot of benefits of the shamanic journey process. It's, they've actually done some research now where they find that there's sort of there's a path that sort of opens for a person, because there's sort of like a problem-solving aspect that we are going through in our inner world, but it sort of opens some pathways so that it helps creativity to emerge even more. So, and then, in terms of working with creativity, it's just sort of allows us to access a deeper part of ourselves, whether it's through writing or drawing or painting. And I think that oftentimes, healing can begin to come from that place, and we get to know ourselves on a deeper level, and also we're opening to letting, our energy flow, or things that we've been holding inside, we're releasing them. through our creative process, and that in itself is very healing.
And that's a great answer. I have a question from the chat, and it says, can you share examples of how we can master anxiety and stress? And I think, well, the creativity is one way.
Sure, yeah. Let's see. I guess the first thing I'd like to share about that is, learning to relax is really important. And everybody's different. So again, finding, a way for you to do that for yourself. And so I've been meditating a long time, and I've been teaching meditation a long time, and what I've found is that everybody needs to kind of explore different practices and find those that are kind of resonant with them where they are today, too. Sometimes when we go through a transition, even if we've had the best self-care program and a really good structure around that, we go through a life transition, and then all of a sudden we find what we did before doesn't work for us, even though it seems like it should. So really be open and explore, different tools and techniques and different types of meditation. For some people, they need to do more physical exercise or yoga or Tai Chi. And then also one thing, though, that I really think is universally helpful is something called the deep diaphragmatic breath, and it's just really learning to take the breath more deeply into the body, and that can really help our system to learn to slow down. So I would say that's number one. And, then taking care of body, mind, nutrition's important. So really taking that holistic approach to anxiety and stress is important. And getting support can be really helpful. And then again, just getting to know yourself. And part of the sort of 4-week process that I share, I really recommend a journaling process where you're sort of tracking how you experience your anxiety or your stress, and what your triggers might be. And then as you begin to explore different tools, kind of, tracking which ones are really working for you or not working for you, so that you can then begin to build your own holistic toolbox that can help you. And it is a journey, so it's a process, and so learning about ourselves and beginning to build our resources both inwardly and outwardly is really important in that journey.
I have someone asking, can you tell us about your work at Chris Ellis House?
Oh, sure. Who is that, I wonder?
I don't know.
Okay. And I did mention the Heal My Voice project. And if people are interested in learning more about Heal My Voice, they can go to that website, which is healmyvoice.org. But I have been, over the last few months, facilitating a project with Heal My Voice and Chrysalis House, which is an addictions treatment program for women and children, and it's in Crownsville, Maryland, which is in the Baltimore, D.C. area. And that's actually a really special program. It is a program which has women in long-term treatment for addictions, which is very beneficial, and they're able to have some of their children with them in treatment, and or they're helping them to rebuild their relationships with their children and their families. And so that's there's not too many programs like that in the country. And so an opportunity came to bring the Heal My Voice writing program to Chrysalis House, and so we've begun to facilitate once-a-month workshop where some of the Heal My Voice authors come and share. It's funny that you brought up the creative aspect. We're sharing different creative processes, and then also a weekly writing circle to really help them to find their voice and begin to share their stories with the world as well. And so I'm facilitating that weekly group. And it's really going well, and it's giving them an opportunity to kind of connect through writing and find that creativity. And the intention is that come probably the spring of next year that we'll have a book of writings, probably stories, poems, and some reflections from the women who are in that program published through Heal My Voice.
That must give you a really great opportunity to see people recognize their own power. Does that give you a sense of
definitely.
accomplishment?
Oh, I love it. And I had actually, a number of years ago, I went to school for addictions counseling because I wanted to bring holistic modalities to that field. I felt, I had an opportunity to volunteer teaching meditation and just saw the benefit right away. And so I spent a number of years working in addictions at a holistic addictions program and doing some facilitating at different programs, and it was just sort of organically this opportunity came with Heal My Voice and Chrysalis, so it really gives me an opportunity to bring some of the tools. We do meditation in our weekly group, and then different writing exercises, so it kind of it really brings together a lot of the things that I'm passionate about in life, and it is just so beautiful to see the women there finding their voices and just loving having the space to create. And we have a process where they make their own journals with collage and cutting out magazines, and just their own unique self is expressed in that, and it really helps to support the whole process of opening and beginning to tell their stories.
Now, do they become ambassadors for your work, or how does that work?
This is a pilot program, so I don't know yet. We'll see. The Heal My Voice program, which was started by Andrea Hyland, there's actually 3 projects that are in process right now, and 3 books that are already published, and so as women who've become a part of that broader organization become authors, and then a big piece of that is leadership and stepping forward. As we write our stories and we're healing through that process, and then we begin to speak more and then step more into leadership. So that is really a big part of that process. So we'll have to see how that unfolds with this program.
So how would you like to see this work, I guess, embedded within the current healthcare system?
That's a good question. It's interesting because, with recovery right now, there is a big movement in terms of having more recovery-oriented systems of care, and kind of really taking the approach that, that addiction is a lifelong journey, and to really bring in, sort of like life, not just life skills, but just tools and programs that really support the whole person. So it feels like there is really an opportunity to bring this program, to a broader community in that way, and certainly could be applied to, other, populations in the healthcare system.
Now, what would you say to people that feel called to do similar work? Where do they start? How do they get going? Instead of not just simply dismissing it, moving forward.
Well, let's see, I guess, follow your heart is what I would say. If you feel a calling to do something that's sort of speaking to you, is, really, to listen. And, one of the things I'd say, and what kind of really opened a door for me was, I had the idea at one point to teach meditation in the addictions program, and I just volunteered to do that and had an opening, and that was sort of like this idea that I had. And then it was through that I gained the understanding and awareness of what the benefit of that really was, and it just really, again, led me on a path and a journey that I'm still continuing on today. So, to just take some steps and be willing to just explore what's possible, it's really important.
So don't necessarily worry about the whole big picture initially, just take the first step.
Yeah, I think that's good advice, and yeah, sometimes when you're in it, it's hard to see that. But yeah, I think take steps, and sometimes I think, we sort of feel guided and obviously we can have some fear or hesitation. So that's when I think sometimes really, using our meditation, our prayer, tuning inwardly and asking for guidance can really help us.
Can you tell us a moment when you knew that what you were doing was making a difference with people?
Gosh, there's a lot of moments.
Well, the first one.
The first one. Oh, gosh. I mean, there's different layers because I guess over 17 years, I've worked with people in a lot of different ways. I guess, I'll just share, again, and just sort of since it came up in terms of working with clients with addictions, when I went to teach meditation at this program I volunteered for, it was actually the first class that I led, and I was a little nervous because I hadn't really done it in that way before, and we were sitting in a room that was pretty crowded with chairs, and usually I like to sit cushions on the floor and have a different space, so I wasn't sure how things would go. So I led a couple of different meditations because I do like to share different techniques and did a reading, and afterwards a gentleman came up to me and said that he couldn't believe how incredible it was to meditate, and that he had not been in treatment for very long, and he was a heroin addict, and he said that in those just the first few moments of meditation that he felt the best he ever felt in his life, and better than even any drug that he had ever used. Felt just a sense of connection and expansion that he didn't think was possible without drugs. And so that's when I kind of knew, this is really important work. And I think that that's the case for everybody. There are different tools and techniques, and those help us to get to know ourselves and to create that possibility of connecting and creating a state change. And so it's just learning how to do that for ourselves. I think that's really what, when I say discovering the healer within, it's really what I'm trying to help people to do, is to begin to facilitate that for themselves.
And we have a last question from the chat room. It says, inner peace and outer peace, is there a connection?
Oh, yeah. I would say yes. Yeah, and I guess what I'll say is, I don't think we can really have outer peace without having inner peace. And I know that that's it's a thread that we talk about a lot. But also, what's come for me as I've been writing actually for this next Heal My Voice project and Voices of Peace is to really take the holistic approach that I like to apply to life, to peace, and just looking at body, mind, emotion, and spirit. And so there's outer things, that we can do, and there's even our environment, and then obviously there's the broader world that we live in. So it's important to find ways to cultivate peace, and we can go into stillness and create that inner peace, but we also need to carry that as we move in the world. And so taking care of ourselves, our body, is really important, our mind, balancing our emotions, having a clear space can really support that.
So what was your biggest recent aha moment?
My biggest recent aha moment. Gosh.
It doesn't have to be life-shattering. It could just be something that says, oh, that works for me.
It might seem almost, I thought it was almost silly, but one of my teachers who I study with, her name is Faye Hart, and she has a program called The Steps, and it's kind of like a spiritual 12-step program. And so part of it is you do a lot of process work to kind of really kind of work with your emotions and patterns and beliefs that are arising. And she shared this very simple technique this week of when sort of something comes up that's sort of, an old pattern or belief, and you may want to work with it or process it at a certain time, but sort of, in a place where you just really don't want to sort of let that into your consciousness. And she suggested just putting a sign like in your awareness, like a no, the circle with the line across it, like a no smoking sign. And I've been just working with that this week, and it's just amazing. So a little silly technique, but I find it helpful.
Now we're coming up to the break, so I want to thank you for coming on and being a guest, and I'll give you the last opportunity to share your links with us.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so once again, my website's BethTerrence.com, and there's a lot of information on events and offerings there, and if you're interested, you can also sign up to receive my Discover the Healer Within e-news, which I send out a couple of times a month, and updates on classes and workshops. And then my blog, which has a lot of resources, and there's a lot of meditation information there. There's actually a 31-day guided program on metta meditation called May is for Metta, is theheartofawakening.wordpress.com.
Okay, thanks for joining us tonight, Beth. And if people, again, want to find you on the social media networks, they can.
Yes, definitely Twitter, Facebook. I'm on Pinterest, LinkedIn.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Rob. I've enjoyed chatting with you. And
thank you.
Have a great evening.
You too. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Now, thanks for joining us on Awakened Radio tonight. If you'd like to be a sponsor of this show or any of the other shows here at Awakened Radio, you can provide us with a 30-second audio script, and we'll play it at the start of each show, at the middle of the show, and at the end of the show. And then when we archive our shows, we leave in the advertising and the sponsorship. So please do feel free to do that with us. And also, if you're so inclined and you've enjoyed our shows, you can come to awakenedradio.net and click on the donate button at the top of the screen, and donations, even if they're just $1, are always greatly appreciated. We're here at no cost to you, so please find it in your heart to click the donate button at the top of all the screens. And then we just published this month's issue of Thrive magazine, and we're coming up with time to put in your articles, art, or poetry for next month. I believe there's still a few more days left before the deadline, but you're welcome to contribute whatever you'd like, as long as it sort of has a spiritual or healing nature to it, through articles, art, or something you've created as a poem, and we will share your links when we publish the magazine. So that's a possibility. Come to awakenedradio.net again and click on the Thrive magazine button, and the instructions are right there. And if you would like to take part in Awakened Radio and meet the hosts and talk with us at a deeper level, on September 29th, we're having a virtual open house. So it'll be from 11 a.m., I believe, up until this show at 9 o'clock. So you'll be able to call in, talk with the hosts, and leave comments and take part in the show. So please do feel free to join us then and really have an opportunity to have your voice be heard, maybe even talk about the issues that are important to you. And that'll be on September 29th. Thanks for joining us tonight. We talked with Beth Terrence tonight. Please come back next week, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, here for Simply Conversations with a new guest. And if you'd like to be a guest on this show, you can click on the Be a Guest tab at simplyconversations.com, fill out the forms, and email them to me, and I'll gladly talk with you about coming on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Through the fight in life, we're all eyes open, showing our inside and light so bright. We are